a lot of the mentors that help guide me along the way spent a lot of time on the fence debating on whether or not the birth certificate was a good thing or not, whether the social security number was a good thing or not. And the reason for that is once you stop looking at it down from the little, slave debtor mentality, and you start looking at it from the equity top perspective as a whole, the system is amazing. The police workforce, the judges, the cops, you can shape your reality through the contracts that you keep daily, and you can actually tap into the private side of the social security number to get into the quote-unquote Cestui Que Vie trust, which is what everybody chases. And you basically don't ever have to work again. You can tap into the digital credits that were created from your birth and go from there. So, like I said, a lot of people that study for years and years and years and years always try to debate on, is it a good thing or a bad thing? And my position is I think it's neutral, because you don't have to use the U.S. citizen. You don't have to use a social security number. You don't have to operate within the matrix. You can step out of it. You're above and beyond it. So it's quite an amazing type of basically system on a big scale. It has assets in the private where trust is and equity, and then the public is the debtor-creditor commercial mentality where everybody thinks they're bound and keeps everybody asleep and locked in unless you want to take the time and effort to educate yourself and research and do what it takes to understand what it is to be sovereign. And once you take the time and effort to understand what it takes to be sovereign, you're good. You're not bound by all these codes, policies, and statutes. Only your U.S. citizen can be involved in it. Sci-fi guy, it's an instrument to be used, not flee from. Absolutely, it's just a tool, And I spent years, even though while I was studying, my mentors were like, "Is this a good thing or a bad thing?" I spent years studying, and then found out I wasn't in bondage ever. I had the illusion of shackles, and that is one of the most amazing and powerful prisons. Are the people that think they are free, but they're not, and vice versa, the people that are not free but think they are. And that's we all kind of have invisible shackles on us that we can bypass and get above and beyond. But it takes time, it takes a little bit of effort, and it's what it is. Dustlicker, what's up? How you doing? Welcome. Thank you for coming out here on this Friday. This is a more normal time for me to try to get on and out here to help everybody. A little bit after 3. I want to try to wrap up around 4ish to get my vehicle. I had to go get it inspected because it's under control by others, not myself. And that's the rules of the game, It's very simple. You got to pick your battles. You got to understand the rules of the game, who governs and controls the game you're playing in, and then you can start to kind of see how things operate. You can break it down to simple fundamentals and just, pick your battles and do what you want. And we're all able to do that, and we're all deceived continuously. Yeah, my car for inspections. I originally, just like the U.S. citizen, when I was on my path, I was going to try to take it out of their system and try to take it out of their control. But you can't. When you create something, you control it. And my car is registered, and it is controlled by the state. Now, I could have it decommissioned. I could have it decommissioned and make a warranty title over it and try to basically operate on my own. But I'd rather not let that MSO ever get recorded. That's kind of where I'm at. Is if I'm going to go down that path, I want it airtight. I don't want anybody to ever say that was collateral for the U.S. debt, and I'm coming to get it. It's not a battle that I want to take. It's just, I'm kind of OCD when it comes to this commercial game, and when I started learning things on a big high level and how everything was intertwined and interwoven and understood the big picture, I started to be a lot less picky or more picky on the battles that I was facing, because I was marching, like I said, for many years trying to take my U.S. citizen out of their jurisdiction, trying to operate sovereign, and the big freaking bubble burster is that to be sovereign, you've got to either have your own land, have your own water, create your own electricity, grow your own food, have your little parcel, and you can operate in that way. But if not, if you got to use someone else's stuff, one, you're not sovereign unless you contract with them. And if you contract with them, how are you going to contract? Are you going to use gold, silver? Are you going to use Federal Reserve notes? You start using other people's property. You're starting to involve yourself into different games that you've got to understand. That Federal Reserve note was not created by you. It was created by somebody that has rules and guidelines that are attached to it. It's underlying. It's like a relationship with strings attached, right? Same thing with the U.S. citizen. Their relationships with strings attached. You don't have to use them. You don't have to date that girl. You don't have to mess with that chick. But if you're going to, there's strings attached. Same thing, with almost everything. You just got to pick your battles. Mr. Listener, what is up? How you doing? Thanks for coming on. Sometimes it does take me a little bit to answer your questions because I'll be going on tantrums and rants, and I try my best to answer everybody on a case-by-case basis. Sci-Fi Guy 777. Is there anything you do different now compared to the process walked out in 2017 through 2018? What's the process walked out in 2017, 2018? Are you talking about the process that I walked out of when I was going to go through the DTC, or are you talking about you got to be a little more specific? And I'm sorry guys, it is kind of a pain in the butt to try to type on this. Oh, status correction. No, yes. The only thing I would change on my status declaration, but I would still do that, is I talked about the graven image, my name, my word, being forged in darkness, without light until I gave it life and stuff like that. And it's really actually tied biblically. Ruben, thank you for the fire, much appreciated. Your gifts will be used to help others, as always, much appreciated. The only thing I would change on my status declaration would be some of the words, but the main premise is still there, which is I come from peace and love, and I'm in harmony, at all times, and that is how you must operate out there in the commercial world. But there are a few words I might have changed a little bit. Now the status that I did and the standing that I got, I'm good with. Like I'm pretty happy with the declarations that I created and how I got my status and standing. I'm pretty good with that. The only thing that I would also change would probably be try to find more people to assist and help in my walk. But part of the problem was the walk that I was walking wasn't absolutely correct, and I wasn't at a stage or time or ready to bring on people to help. But now I'm getting closer to that stage. As I got a lot of works, but it's just me. So trying to find other people to try to assist in doing the good works it's not always easy. The works are great, the workers are few, but not when it comes to working 9 to 5. There's plenty of us out there doing that, working all day for for-profit systems in a federal zone, giving up 33% of everything we own. Gregory Kane. Sign you up. Oh, you down to help? Heck yeah. So one of the things I need help with is organizing my website, and then like when I started trying to designate or delegate and assign this to other people, one of the issues I ran into was putting on my TikTok videos, because I got 1,000, probably 1,000 of them that I've downloaded. I'm kind of interested right now to see how many I have, because as I scroll through TikTok, which is very rarely, I will, if I see something that is really, really good, I will download it, because a lot of times TikTok will remove it. All right, select all. I have 1,152 videos that I gotta put on my website. James, I'm fine. Is that like you hitting on me, or are you trying to say that like, it's all good, or what? You are fine. That's not a PH, so I'm guessing it's just how you doing. Dust Liquor, can you touch on the status correction at the first steps you take to being sovereign? Yeah, so to start at the end of your sentence, you're already sovereign, okay? And I have videos that outline all this. But should you choose, one thing that you can do to let others know that you're sovereign, especially when it comes to these corporate entities and these agencies that like to try to operate outside of their jurisdiction all the time. Is you can put that status that you want to choose, you as a sovereign, not anybody else. You can choose what you want your status to be in life, and that is up to you. And once you choose that, whether you want to be, the Allah Muslim wizard of Japan, or whatever you want to be a Texas national, or it's up to you. You pick. You can put that on a declaration, and then you don't have to do anything more. Or if you want to, you can have that recorded in a county recorder's office, certify it out, and mail it to other people, or just mail it to other people and say, this is what my records show. What do yours show? If you're showing something different, then let me know. If not, this is going to stand as a fact. So, it's kind of up to you what you want your status declaration to be, and then you can mail it out to a lot of people, and then basically with them not responding, you can get them in tacit acquiescence and agreement that your status and your records stand as a fact. And then you have standing. So that's how status and standing works. You put your status declaration down, put your status standing out, or get your standing, and then you can enforce that anywhere. Once you have those records established and created, you can enforce those documents as you see fit if anybody tries to cross over. All right, Sci-Fi Guy, have you learned enough to know how to live off of the CKV SSN Trust? I have learned enough to know the rough estimate of how to do it. It's kind of complicated. You need to have people on the inside that invite you in. You have to know the amounts of what 1/10 of your estate is, on and on and on. And then when you go through it, you have to sign an NDA where you cannot discuss this with anybody, or you're going to be put in international jail, because you will cause more damage on this earth than you have any clue about if you start discussing the private asset side of the Social Security bonds. And basically how a lot of it works is everybody is compartmentalized idiots, where, and I use that term just because it's something that someone else uses, but I should say compartmentally ignorant, okay? And what that means is basically everybody that is wanting to do their 9 to 5 and they're stuck in their little cubicle, they don't have any clue about what the guy in the next cubicle is doing, and they don't care. They don't want to know. So they're given their tasks and jobs and duties, and they're sitting there and do that. And nobody really tries to look at the big picture to put all the pieces together, what all the little compartments are doing, except for the people at the top who control everything. And that's kind of how it works, basically on a fractal pattern as you go down from the top. So by the time you get down to the bottom, all of us down here operating all these U.S. citizens day by day, we have no clue what's going on up top. Like the people at the top that control stuff, it rains down. All right, so Mr. Listener, I'm always looking for more information about PMAs, how to operate, license, trade, up like plumber. Mister, I think I put information on my website under Commerce Business Structures that has some PMA information, I believe. There's also a website that is pretty good to help also. Let me see. We got business structures. Is there a PMA in here? Private Membership Association? There is nothing in there. Well, there's a website that I could send you. If you DM me, I can send you a link. I know I at least have a website that I can forward to you that can outline everything. Mr. Listener, clients want permits and stuff like that. Yep. Yeah, and they want you to be licensed, insured, and bonded, and all that stuff to be able to operate commercially. And that's why the system is kind of beautiful to an extent, because when you start dealing in the federally registered commercial world of all these entities that are controlled by DC, they have all these rules and guidelines. Like, you can't just build a 4-story building out of cardboard and start to occupy it with people, because it'll collapse and they'll sue you. So you have to go through all these rules and all these things in order to comply with proper building techniques. So sometimes some of these things they make sense. You probably go to Mexico and they don't have stringent facility codes and stuff like that, and some of the stuff's probably unsafe. All right, so Mike Swigger, who do you mail these letters to? If you want to, whoever you want to. For instance, you could mail it to the Secretary of State local, the Secretary of State federal, for the president. Although Beau Biden, I don't know about him. I wouldn't call him president, but You can send it to the other major sovereigns. D.C. You got IRS. You got the King of England. You've got Vatican, stuff like that. Just if you want to let the Earth, or you could just let your neighbors know, or you could just let the courts know. You could post a public notice. You could hang it inside the court on the cork board in the wall in the courthouse. You put it on the newspaper for 4 weeks. It's kind of expensive, but if you want to put public notice, you can. You can do it however you want. If you choose to want to let others know about your status, that's up to you. You don't have to, but if you want to create a record of tacit acquiescence through other people, you can have standing, and you start hitting some of those major players like the UN or WHO or whatever, then you're on a different level. James, you can also put it on as a local court case. Yes, you can. Grayman Patriot. Do you have any experience using a 98 number to open up a bank account? Yeah, so if you start doing a 98 EIN, which is typically outside of U.S. jurisdiction, whatever entity you're operating with should have some type of operating agreement, and within that operating agreement, there should be designations to either trustees or members or entities that have the authority to open up bank accounts. And that piece of paper must be brought with you. And a lot of times, the bank will want the underlying responsible Social Security number for the U.S. citizen that's going to be backing all of it. But there's, it's not a prerequisite, but some banks will. Sci-fi guy, why claim the estate? Why not instead learn how to live off the private banking side using banks in the way they're designed to? So banks are agents that are authorized to do certain things like monetize our signatures, and you can reclaim a certain percentage of every check that you've ever written, but that's all on the private side. You're the original issuer on account. That's a 1099 OID, and you can bring those forward, but you're bringing forward private funds, private asset funds, and you have to funnel it through a closed bank account through back office banking. So you can do that. That's one way to operate with the banks without dealing with the Cestacate Vi Trust. But like I said, it's all up to you. Joe is crapped in his diaper. Who is Joe? Did I mention Joe? I'm confused, James. What's going on, dude? Joe is crapped in his diaper. Grayman Patriot, nice, thank you. You're very welcome. Dustlooker, can you talk about the UCC1 form and how to fill it out? Yeah, so a UCC1 is a financial instrument that is based. Oh, Joe crapped his diaper. I got you. You talking about the Prez? Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's something. He's a fall man. So the UCC1 is an international commercial financing statement, and it's very powerful, more powerful than the presidents of bankrupt corporations known as countries. So when you fill it out, you have a creditor and debtor. The UCC1 is notice of a security interest on some type of collateral or property. Okay, you're not actually. A lot of people say that the UCC1 is the lien. No, it is the recording of a notice of a security interest or some type of other interest. And typically, what's on a UCC1 is not all the documentation of the security agreement or the loan or whatever. It's just the collateral identification, like the car VIN number, make and model, and the amount, and a security agreement number. And they'll have all that on there, not the actual security agreement. The security agreement is the private asset that the dealers and banks hold, and what is recorded on the UCC1 is actually just notice of that there is a security interest. So, for instance, if there was no bank that put a lien on your car, and you decided that you want to put a lien on your car, or somebody you did work for, you're putting a lien on their car or something like that, you could put that in writing, and you could put it on a UCC1, and you could record that at in the county or up on the Secretary of State. And if something ever happens and a creditor ever tries to go after the car, you have paramount security interest that's perfected. You can come in there and say that any money that's owed for taking this car has got to come to me first, but you have to show up to the court proceedings and enforce it. Because whenever a court is handling business, they're not going to do a UCC1 search of all collateral whenever they're handling stuff. You got to show up. You got to know about it. Grayman Patriot, do you have time for consult sometime soon. I know you're busy. Yeah, I consult with people all the time. I answer DMs, emails. I answer phone calls, text messages. Well, actually, I need to check my text messages. It goes to a remote site, and I meant to update my website to let people know that when you text me, when you call me off my site, it goes straight to my phone. But when you text me, it goes to a remote website. I gotta log in. I gotta try to figure out. I gotta do like 15 clicks, and then I can see the SMS. And I wish that the SMS went right to my phone, but it does not. All right, I have one text message. Okay, that's not bad. Oh yeah, I've already talked with her. Cool. Well, that's not bad. Anyway, I need to put that on my website. I need to let people know that the phone number goes straight to my phone, but the SMS does not. Sci-Fi Guy. I see a lot of status correction folks promoting a whole list of things that are required. Yeah. A lot of people will make you pay for all these courses to try to create. I have a free one. I have one that I paid $1,000 for. If you want to look at it, it's on my website under class. I think it's under UCC. And it has a status correction course in there. It's like a 12-week course where you got to study all this stuff to get a remote office in Panama and do a UCC 1 lien on your strongman and all this stuff that is fruitless. Trying to put a lien on there, create a bond off of it, enforce that, and all that's it's all false teaching. It's all missing and lacking and has half-truths in it. And I studied for many years to learn that. Sci-Fi. 1779 declaration, witness testimonies, diagram of fraud, assumed name, certificate, active. Yeah, you don't need any of that stuff. Basically, all you need to know is that you're sovereign. You're not the U.S. citizen. It's just a tool that can be in their matrix and in their under their jurisdiction if you, the trustee, allows it or signs it up for it for that. And then if you want to do a status declaration, I have a status and standing folder. I think under my commerce folder on website. Hi, Mother Runner. Gregory, yep, first in line, first in time. That's right. That's how those liens work all day, every day, and it's enforceable. All right, Sci-Fi Guy. Wow, deed of reconveyance, mandatory notice of claim, political status, common carry declaration, revo of election. Yeah, you don't have to do any of that. And I've finally started watching videos where people that TikTok loves kind of promoting stuff that is fear-mongering and false, and it gets millions of views. And not all of it. Some of the stuff has actual validity as far as current events and news and stuff like that. But anyway, one of the great things that TikTok likes pushing out and promoting is that you could just do a status or a revocation of election from IRS. And recently, it's so funny. I love correcting this. There's this girl, Bree Divine, who. Oh my gosh, she's actually the reason why I started putting out commercial videos. But she was saying, yeah, I just let the IRS know that I'm a human, and you're not gonna tax me anymore. And then million likes, million shares, million whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is not how the system works at all. It's not. It's just not. You're only taxed on how you do business. That's it. The IRS is an honorable, neutral, third-party accounting system that was established by the creditors of the United States in order to account for all where Federal Reserve notes go. And it's as simple as that. That's how the game's set up. Now, and they also say, it's right there in the codes, if you're going to be engaged in for-profit in a federal zone, there's a tax liability. And a federal zone is a zip-coded area. I just let the IRS know I'm a human. I really wish it was that easy. Yeah, it's so funny. It doesn't matter. They can't deal with humans, first of all. I mean, they do all day, but when it comes to their system, the human is not the one with the tax identification number. It is actually the corporation that you represent, that you're the authorized representative for. So, depending on how you do business is how you're taxed. And it is as simple as that. And unfortunately, a lot of people like to get misled and go down the rabbit trails and trying to learn that, I can get to hide and keep all my Federal Reserve notes. I get to work for it. I had a call yesterday. Somebody that was trying to figure out how the game works and how not to pay taxes and stuff like that. And when you do a revocation of election and or you don't do a W-9, you're a 1099 employee, the company that you're working for is going to report to the IRS how much funds they sent you. Okay, and so the IRS, when they find out that you didn't file taxes, they're going to come after you, and they're going to say, hey, there's a tax liability. And you can say, but you can't. You have to respond. You can't just stay silent. You could say, "Oh no, I'm a human," blah, and you can get into administrative procedure and get them into a kind of a headlock dance where nobody can move. But when at the end of the day, the U.S. citizen, you involved it in a tax, or the 1099 employee, you involved it in a tax, a taxable event. This is what it is. You don't have to operate in that manner. You can operate outside of that. You can barter, trade, exchange. You can gift. You can donate. You can work under the table. You can, there's all kinds of ways to not pay taxes. And then the other thing, when you do a revocation of election, like I said, I just saw this. And it was so funny because I actually made my tax video because of Brie Divine, and I thought it was going to go viral because I'm like, this girl is misleading people into saying you just do a revocation of election. And I'm like, here's the truth. I'm putting out truthful stuff. It's going to help everybody. It's like, okay, just got a couple thousand views. But the truth is, you're only taxed on how you do business. And then later, I actually saw somebody create a video that tagged Brie in it because she was talking about, has anybody had any issues if you do the revocation of election? And this guy came on and was like, yeah, I did it, and it works for a little while. And then within 5 years or so, the IRS is going to come after you and start court proceedings and procedures to try to say that you owe hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever the interest is, because you never paid. Hi guys. So, Sci-Fi Guy, Preview shared with me a list of teachers you ascribe to. Number one in your list was Brandon Adams. Have you got a folder with his teachings? If you look under BA on my class folder, you'll find his teachings, and he is one of my favorites. He really is. I loved him to death until he got out of jail. Actually, when he got out of jail, he spent some time in there. His come from was completely different. It was like a really I don't know. It just wasn't the same. I didn't like it. So Mother Runner, reportable event. Yes, reportable event. Yeah, so when you're engaged in, you don't have to report, but like I said, whoever was giving you money, they're going to report to the IRS under their codes and policies and statutes that they're required by, because they're a federally registered owned entity by DC who has guidelines they have to comply with. And when they're dealing in Federal Reserve notes, aka issuing those out to employees, they have to abide by the rules. So when they send the Federal Reserve notes out, they have to record it, ledger it for their books and records, and they have to report that to the IRS because that's how they're established. There are all kinds of entities that do not have to report to the IRS that are outside of U.S. jurisdiction. But when you start dealing in Federal Reserve notes, you got to be very careful because they are someone else's property, and the people that own that property have rules to it, and they claim that it has value. Even if it doesn't, it is what it is. Dustlicker. Have you heard of the TikToker? Oh my gosh. If that's Nick, you talking about the attorney? Is that the guy you're talking about, TikToker? Because if that's the guy, we have gone back and forth, and I actually went live in the middle of the night at 2:30 in the morning, not too long ago, just to catch up with one of the guys that I used to follow. And I love this guy. He's the only guy that I know of that actually got the bonds out of a court case. I don't know if he got all three. If he got the bid bond, the performance bond, the payment bond, or just one, but he got the bonds. This guy is a beast of studying, knowing all the codes, policies, statutes, and everything. Like, he is an absolute beast, but he's a belligerent. And I love him to death. And he spends time in jail, and because he's very confrontational, he's very brutish. He comes from this position that, and he does. He knows more than the judge. He knows more than the attorneys. He knows more than almost everybody when it comes to knowing all the procedures, all the codes, all the policies and statutes that bind everybody. But because he doesn't come from love, he faces the consequence. And I had somebody say that, and he said that too. He said that you have to be a belligerent to have rights. And I know that's not my truth. And I actually tried to look into it, and the only two court cases I saw was in attorney was representing somebody, and the guy had to be belligerent in order to get the attorney to accept not disclosing certain information that would find them guilty or something. And then there was something else that actually, you know, those were the only two things that I could find of, but I didn't ask them about it because, you know, all of my years and years of study, you always have to come from love and peace and harmony. And of course, there are police that will act outside of their, you know, duties, and you can call them out on that should they do that. It's SYKP. I don't know what SYKP is though, Dustlicker. Blockchain Monies. Thank you for loving my content. I try to put one video out a week. I try to put out one live a week to try to help everybody on a case-by-case basis. I appreciate all y'all coming on here and trying to be edified and continue to grow and raise your consciousness. This live will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. On my TikTok profile page, you'll see a website link there with auxiliary information, including my playlists. And I always suggest everybody to watch my playlists in order. I created foundations that I want everybody to build off of if you should like my teachings and how I govern and understand everything. So these are the three foundations that I'm laying: nature, spirit, and commerce. My playlists are foundation, nature, spirit, and commerce. And if you watch all those, it will change your entire perspective and view on everything, and you will be an unstoppable force on this earth. So I always suggest that. And again, I appreciate everybody. This is my time to come on here one-on-one to help everybody. Dustlicker, he teaches some of the processes, and I wanted your opinion on it if you have. Are you talking about the processes that were just mentioned, all of these deed of reconveyance, mandatory notice, claim of life, political? And, you know, I'll tell you, I don't know everything. I know of things, you know, because like I said, I've been studying this stuff for a long time. And I've been studying stuff that's outside of the Rockefeller-funded indoctrination camps called the public fool system, you know, and that puts me in a very nice position to be able to come from a private side of equity of love and understanding outside of all the indoctrinated sheep that are being just fed through the system, you know, constantly. On YouTube. Oh, you love my content on YouTube? I just downloaded my last video so that I could post it on YouTube. But yeah, my playlists are on YouTube also, but they're on TikTok. That's kind of where I branched out and started. It's kind of a funny story of how I started on TikTok, but this is where my platform of choice. Although my commercial stuff has been all my videos have been throttled down tremendously, you know, insanely, and it kind of sucks because I love reaching more people and being able to share more and wake more people up, but it just ain't happening. Jay, what's up? How you doing? Blockchain. Okay, cool. Shar Z. You're coming for me, and I'm not alone. I love it. Come for me. Where you at? You a federal agent? You gonna build a case? I'm in Virginia. I don't know. I'm always here, anytime. But should you want to reach out, like I said, I got contact information. It's all over the place. You can find ways to reach out to me. All right. Shay-Z for who? Chad Baker, what's up, man? Chilling, man. It's Friday. This is my time. I love coming on here and just kind of helping people a little bit. You know, it's funny. My average, basically, people that come on here is about 40, 42-ish, you know, whatever, around that area. So I thought I'd hop on TikTok on 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, see what kind of fan base I get. Because I was like, hey, you know, maybe there's a lot more people awake in the middle of the night. But I get on there at 3 in the morning. That's when I was talking to the dude about, you know, going into court and how to operate properly as far as when you're, you know, reserving rights and keeping your jurisdiction and how to stand and maintain and claim and enforce your will. And I ended up having 40 people. And I was like, I guess that's my number. 40's my number. That's just is what it is. It don't matter if I come on here at 1:30, 3:35, 6, 7, 8. You know, 40's my sweet spot. So we'll just roll with it. It is what it is. Chad, yeah, I've had to come on a little earlier than usual the last few weeks, but I'm here on a usual time that I normally get out. Paris Boyfriend on TikTok and the Claim Your Rights guy. What? Curious if they're legit or not. They seem like it to me. So you don't have to claim your rights. You already have them. One of the downsides to operating the U.S. citizen is they offer benefits and privileges to their creation, the corporation that they've created. But you as the sovereign, if you want to start trying to claim all your rights, you better have a long piece of paper, because you have a right to crap in your hand and throw it at somebody. You have a right to cuss me out. You have a right to turn left. You have a right to jump on the floor. You're going to be writing for a very, very long time if you want to start claiming your rights. As a sovereign, you have the unlimited ability to contract and unalienable rights. And trying to list those, that's actually what contracting is. When you start contracting, you're confining and defining and trying to create a box around sovereigns that want to operate. And that's us as the authorized representatives are those. So, Paris boyfriend. Oh, that's a really cute handle. I don't know Claim Your Rights guy, and I don't know about the other guy that you just mentioned. Honestly, to some of the processes, those two guys that y'all just mentioned. But I am always open. I try my best to try to come from a neutral position of love and peace to be able to open and receive different opposing information all the time. That way, it's not just a definitive, because the only thing constant is change. So you always want to try to come from an open position of love. I think I have heard of the 3949 and 211 forums. Let's look them up, though, because, the cool thing about coming from love and peace is that you don't have to know 40 billion codes and policies and statutes, and all you have to do is know about love. You can create your own law. You can create your own jurisdiction. All right, so this is received by the United States Internal Revenue Service for issues related to taxes. The form is known as an informational referral, and it will be used by citizens reporting any suspected tax fraud in the county. Yeah, okay, so let's just, for instance, say you want to do a 3949. What is this for? Doing an audit? Is this for like auditing people? Because on the private side, the CFO has access to the public and the private side of funds, so they end up they can do things to not quote unquote cook the books, but allow harmony for accounting, and because everything must be balanced, right? But they do have ways, like for year end, to kind of off balance it a little bit, and then bring it back up depending on what they want their tax liability to be that year and stuff like that. They have some ability. CFO is what I said. There's three entities that combine a corporation and the contractual obligations. You got the president, the CEO, and the CFO. And the CFO is usually who, when you're dealing in money and monetary and contracts, you'll want to try to deal with contractually, because they can deal on the private side of funds and the public side of the corporation. Not that they're dipping into private assets like the SESC-KVI, but they have to abide by general accounting practices, the GAAP, which is a double entry bookkeeping system where everything must be balanced. And that's how everything works. And a lot of us start trying to learn this creditor, debtor, the status correction, all these courses and classes that are half truth, when you have to understand the big picture. And the big picture is that even though there is a public side and a private side, it must kind of be balanced. Everything must be in harmony to try to bring equilibrium on the books. Almost everything's about accounting and banking. And once you start to wrap your head around that, it does kind of help. Jeremy, if they don't accept your promissory note, they don't have to accept your promissory note. Typically, especially if they are trying to do like a credit check on the U.S. citizen, and they found out that the authorized representative for it has done some flim-flam or hasn't paid or gotten involved in stuff. Veronica, thank you for the rose, sweetheart. Much appreciated. Thanks for coming on my live. Nice to see you. How you doing? Looks like you'll be traveling soon. I don't know if or when I'm gonna be traveling. I don't know what's going on anymore. But I am. I'm enjoying life. I'm having fun. I'm living it to the best. I'm having doing my thing. So it is what it is. Jimmy, thanks for sharing the live. Sharzi, we know what you are. Faye Gris. Sharzi, you are on the border to getting booted out of here, dude, or woman, or whatever, because you're kind of weird what you're posting and saying. Like I don't know what's going on. Talking about you're coming after people, and you know what you are. Like you be very, very careful. Fight. You remember the time. All right, let's see. Bye, Sharzi. Better create another account. Sorry, that was the first time I ever had to boot somebody. That was kind of weird what they were doing. Talking about, I hope I didn't lose a loyal fan that was just playing. Remember the time. All right, so stopping by from Pennsylvania. Oh, cool. Heck yeah. What's up? Are you coming to Virginia? Sci-Fi Guy, what do these TikTok coins do for you? Oh, so yeah, if you give me like 17,000 diamonds, I'll have $2 that I can use to help promote my videos. So that's kind of how it works. TikTok will take 98% of everything, and then they'll kick me a couple dollars. And you know what's funny is I actually think that that's where I'm at. I'm at right now in my life on my handler on TikTok. Whoever's handling and throttling my traffic, I think that they're giving me just enough traffic to try to keep me interested to keep putting videos out. Because other than that, I've been throttled down to like 80% of what I used to. Like it's terrible. It's not going out to nobody. It's kind of shadow banned. It doesn't matter if I put out true content, great content. I almost want to see if I put out some fear monger and stuff, if that will go crazy. Quajalin, thank you so much for the crown. Much appreciated. Your gifts will be used to help others. Yeah, I got a handler, Blockchains, and I know that they're handlers because one of the guys that I talked to on TikTok who looks like a Walking Dead guy, he said that whenever his lives aren't seeing a lot of people, he can just call up a guy from TikTok and his stuff will get boosted. Because a lot of people think that there's algorithms. There are algorithms for designating the what a video's content is, but not necessarily to who it will go to and how many. That is actually dictated by a human. All right, Mother Runner, you're from PA2? Nice. Blueberry Back 90 is the only way to get the remittance game through a trust. Yes, if you're talking about a bill, that's not the only way. I mean, you can pay Federal Reserve notes on it. It's not necessarily going to work out in your favor, but that's what everybody else does. That's setting it off. Or you can put it in a trust, or you can discharge it publicly or privately, or you can just throw it in the trash. And then they'll, depending on how big it is, they'll cut off your service or start a court proceeding against you or whatever. Scott, or mac and cheese. What in the world? Stopping by from Pennsylvania or mac and cheese? Is that what's going on? You gonna do one of those? And mac and cheese might be easier. K Jacobson, Kansas in here. Love your content and understanding. Cool. Heck yeah, appreciate it. Virginia, and much appreciated. Glad I put this all out for y'all. It's all for y'all. It's all for us. One love. Sci-Fi Guy, y'all laughing at me. Quad Jalen. Cool. Okay. Well, that was mispronounced by me. Quad Jalen. That's a beautiful name. Blockchain Monkeys. Wow. Who calls TikTok? Wow. Oh, this guy. He's making $5,000 to $10,000 a month just from sitting there looking like somebody famous. Like he does nothing, just sitting there looking famous, and just like everybody else, like these ASMRs. And Mother Runner, much appreciated. Thanks, sweetheart, for the gift. People that just sit there and just do nothing great with their. Well, I say great. I have watched a few ASMRs trying to just kind of chill light at night, just looking at a pretty chick that's tapping on glass or something. But, a lot of these people making a lot of money on these lives, and I don't request funding or payment from anybody. I just, if you want to donate, I appreciate it. I use it to help others to promote my videos to get more traffic because TikTok ain't doing it. Like, that's the only way I'm going to get traffic anyway is if I freaking promote my videos. But yeah, that dude calls a TikTok his handler, and he says, I need more traffic, I need more boost, I need more whatever, and he'll blast it out to 700-800 people, share it out, it's like boom, just like that. It's so funny. It's all money, it's all game, everything's smoke and mirrors. It just is what it is. Scott, Rumble podcasts are growing because of these issues. I believe it, and I have personally debated on whether or not to continue on TikTok because of the throttling down and. Occasionally, I haven't had a lot of issues with my videos getting removed, which is weird. And I do post saying that, I'm just entertaining. But I am basically talking about niche, outside the matrix, very powerful stuff that the only time I've had issues is if I used audio that was under copyright and or I had like an agent or a cop or something report my traveling video. And that sucked. That sucked losing 7,000-8,000 likes. That took me work to get that stuff. Remedy, not fake money. So Remedy, then you can use lawful money of exchange, and you can send gold or silver out, and that will basically take. You can. There's codes and policies that you can bind somebody in if you send out lawful money or currency of exchange, and say that this is here for the debt obligation to set off, settle, and close the account. or you can put it in a trust, or you can discharge it. You know, you can do when you put it in a trust. Say, for instance, if you did a GGT and collapse the previous trust, you take that asset or that debt, and you can do whatever you want with it as the grantor. And I have videos on all this stuff. That's why I always suggest everybody to watch my playlist on my profile. It should help re-educate you. Guys, this audio will be on YouTube. This video will be on YouTube. The audio will be on Telegram group. There's a website linked on my profile page of TikTok. There's playlists I've created to help re-educate you. Y'all are all sovereign. The most important thing is to come from love and embody what it means to be sovereign, and to understand some of the big picture rules of the game that you're operating in that we're not taught on purpose by the people that control our education system, our monetary system, our medical system, all this stuff from the very top. They don't want us very well educated critical thinkers. All right, now where are we at? Remedy, not fake money. LOL. $2 for the diamonds from TikTok. Oh yeah, yeah. Honestly, on average, my lives will see anywhere from 25 cents to, I've had one that was like I got $6 or something, But like I said, I'm not in it for the money, clearly, because I would be scrambling to get a Big Mac if I ate meat, earning a quarter per hour working on here. Dang, it's already been 50 minutes. It's been so fun. Time has been flying. Michigan here. Okay. Quad Jalen. I got you. Chad Baker, 06, LOL. I seen him today, the Walking Dead guy. Oh, you did? Like, I love him. He's cool. I help him. We talked a lot. He's great. He's a cool guy. Thanks, Veronica. Tap the screen. Dustlicker, can you talk about the Living Man signature? I've heard the way you have to sign or endorse. Yeah, so you have the unlimited ability to contract, and you can sign and endorse something any way you want. You don't just have to sign your name. I personally, what I do when I sign stuff is I put by, by, ... and then I put my U.S. citizen's name in all capital letters, because I don't want any liability. I don't want any confusion. The U.S. citizen, that's the U.S. citizen's game. Like, it's all him. You want to come after something, come after that. I didn't create that entity. It ain't me. Like, you can do whatever you want with that. Like, it ain't me. So I take no liability on almost anything I sign. And I learned that from the IRS. The IRS will stamp stuff, even if you do a restrictive signature to a person there. They can just stamp their name, IRS, in big letters, and that's them signing. K. Jacobson. Do you have a course that is step-by-step to provide clarity of how to deal in commerce and private? Absolutely. The playlist on my profile should help on all of that. And don't take it as homework, and don't treat it like homework. You get what you get out of it. A lot of people will get that, and they'll just be like, gosh, I got to watch all these videos. But they're kind of tied together, and I put them out on purpose with sparse information that you need to knit together. And the reason for that is because you can only handle what you can handle. And if you can't put the pieces together on my puzzle that I've created, then you shouldn't be trying to go into court, claim sovereignty. You shouldn't be trying to go up against police officers. You shouldn't be trying to do all that stuff. So check out his playlist. Thank you, Veronica. Scott, thoughts on new printed treasury notes? I've seen some of that stuff been going around for years and years and years. They've had space dollars. There's such a giant confusion about what everything is so far. But my assumption is the BRICS nation is probably going to be the dominant factor with the asset-backed digital currency that's going to be coming out. That's my thought. If you really wanted to know when the rubber meets the road, and if they ever get over 50% of GDP control, then the game's over. In my assumption, like I said, if you look at the world as a big board game and they get 51% of control over it, hands down, they're the winner. And then immediately upon that execution of 51% control of GDP, all other digital currencies will be garbage. They will instantly just disappear. All right. Now, moderator, thank you for pinning a comment, but I can't see it, Veronica. Sorry. Sci-fi guy. Yeah, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, they all want you working for them, making them content. Well, I've reached random people on YouTube. I put it all out just to try to reach more people, because my kind of ultimate goal is to try to help educate more people. Although my stuff does not go out as fast as a cat farting, because everybody just wants to sit down and not think and just laugh at cats farting on each other. But my stuff is kind of for educational and trying to help change your life for the better. Yeah, Mother Runner, I usually come on here around 2 o'clock on Fridays. I try to sneak it in, and I guess it's because I'm a procrastinator, and I just do that kind of last minute sneaking in, trying to get it in when I can. So typically Thursday I try to drop a video, and Friday I come on live before the weekend. Oh yeah, thanks, Veronica. I need to just start reading your comments because you're on it before me. Nod Nerb. have you looked into registering the BC? Yeah, I did that. I looked into that about 8 years ago. I have videos on that. The BC is it's 10 things. I have a video on the 10 things that a BC is, and I think it's my Commerce video 2, but it might be Commerce video 3. But you can check that out on my profile page. Paris boyfriend, not sure if it was talked about. Can you get out of a contract? Absolutely. If it's been more than 3 days, you can't do a rescission of signature, but you can do all kinds of things. You can claim fraud. You can try to change the terms and conditions. You can try to satisfy whatever debt obligations were agreed to. You got all kinds of options because, like I said, you have the unlimited ability to contract. Blueberry Beck. IRS is not operating lawfully or correctly. They have no power in reality. IRS is actually operating honorably and not lawfully, but legally, because they were established just to monitor transactions. Like, that's it. Everybody gets mad at them because they don't understand how the game works. But you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to involve yourself with using them at all. You can create entities that are outside of DC's jurisdiction and engage in contracts with. You don't have to use Federal Reserve notes. You don't have to use the U.S. citizen. You can do all kinds of stuff, and that's the beauty of having the unlimited ability to contract. Blueberry Back 90. They have a ton of power. They're an enforcement agency. Nick, there's Nick, good old Nick. We were talking about you a couple nights ago, Nick. Me and, what's his name? Daggone Derek Gonzalez, who talk about how you like coming on here and learning. It's cool. All right, so thoughts on the supposed dollar collapse in October? Yeah, like I said, I think the BRICS nation will be the dominant factor when it comes to the asset-backed digital currency that might be coming out. Dustlicker, one thing I do want from this process is to be on the do not detain list. Well, I can tell you that does not exist, and the reason for that is that the police are out there and they have sworn an oath to uphold protection and investigate foreign and domestic terrors. And it doesn't matter who you are, even if you've given notice, if they perceive you to be involved in enemy activities, they have a right to inspect. Okay, and you need to understand how the system works. If they think you're involved in stuff, you should allow them to inspect. You don't have to be dishonorable to them. When you start to argue and start to be a belligerent like some of these other people, they can pistol whip you, you know what I'm saying, and take names, pistol whip, and then ask questions later, right? So you always want to come from peace and love. You never want to try to go against them and their policies. If you've done everything correctly, right, and you have not given up the title to the vehicle, you've either created a warranty title over it and the MSO was never registered, and you've given notice. You have to give notice to all the jurisdictions that you're a national, you're not traveling for commerce, you're not engaged in contracts, you're not involved in enemy activity. Put that through all the jurisdictions that you're going to be traveling through. And then if a police should try to inspect you, you want to give them either your national ID or the notice that you've given to all the jurisdictions and all that stuff, and basically tell them. And if they start to try to act outside and contract with you or mess with your property, if you hold the true title to your vehicle and they mess with your property, then you can go after their bonds, and that's how the whole system's set up, because they're there to work for us. But you have to understand the whole system. Dustlicker, one thing I do want for this possibility. All right, yeah, so anyway, the do not detain list does not exist, and anybody who teaches you that is teaching you false. There is such thing as diplomatic immunity, and even then the police can arrest and try to investigate and find and make sure everything's safe, and then if they're in a deport or do not deport zone, they will basically figure that out from there. But the do not detain list does not exist. Paris boyfriend, there are defenses to argue. See, you don't want to argue ever. Nick. Moderator Veronica, the website is not working. What? Did she do a link? It should be Anointed New Foundation of Peace.life. She put it on there, right? That looks right. You should copy it. The website is linked on my profile page of TikTok also. Dang, coming on here a little later works out all right. No problem, Nod. Thanks for checking out. Moderator, is it hard to prove fraud with a contract? No, it's actually a little too easy. When you start breaking stuff down, the whole system is fraudulent, But it works off of contractual agreement and then consummation and then your performance. When you start performing on the contract that you agree to as the trustee for the U.S. citizen, the authorized representative for it, you start to get bound by all these things. And then a lot of people want to try to claim fraud or get out of the contract when they get in default. But typically the contract, say if you start missing payments, they can take their property back because they put a lien on it. And it's priority first in line when it comes to liens. Sahara, hi. Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Come on here. AJ was just there. Is this also for Canada? Paul, what part? I've talked a lot, so it depends on what you're talking about. Thanks for the website link, Veronica. Veronica, it's telling me the server cannot be found on 3 different. My website better not be closed down. No, it's on. I just clicked on it. It's anointed foundation of peace. Anointed new foundation of peace.life. It's still on there. It's still working. All right. To get a national ID, you have to create your own. That's how you get a national ID, Dust Slicker. Dust Slicker. Winning. Revocable Living Trust. Play the game. The Rich People game. You can access. Yeah, you can access the well, it's called an individual trust. You can access the private side through a Social Security bond, 1/10 of it at a time. That's why you're only allowed 10 Social Security cards in your life. All right, so Veronica got it now. Cool, you got it. I'm glad. As the biggest and default world currency, U.S. will be the last to convert to asset-backed currency. BRICS is just a testing ground. Yeah, that's probably correct, sci-fi guy. It is. And I heard something about what's his name, Warren Buffett, getting involved in some Bitcoin or something too. So you might want to, when people like that start doing things, you gotta take notice. He sold like all of his interest in Bank of America and did something else. I can't remember. Yeah, I got it now. Sorry. Cool. No worries. That's why UCC1. Yeah, UCC1 is very powerful, but you don't want to try to put a lien on your U.S. citizen. That's just, you're harming the credit of an entity that is not yours and you don't even have to use. Paul Corner, New Brunswick, thanks. Sarah, will this be saved for replay? Yes, this live will be on YouTube, Sahara. The audio will be in my Telegram group. You can watch it over and over again and save it if you want to. Bio Gritty, how do I get out of my Title Max loan? By either discharging the debt, setting it off, paying in Federal Reserve notes, getting a private administrative procedure with the CFO, whoever monetized the signature on your on the promissory note to create that private assets, and then they mirror it. And I have videos on all this stuff. Blueberry back. How important is a UCC1 on your strawman? It is very, very dumb to do a UCC1 on your strawman, unless there's some other entity that has a contractual obligation with it. I don't ever try. They try to teach you that you as a lowercase can lien your uppercase, and that's the same entity when they put it in their system. Just like if you try to go to the bank and you tell them to put everything in lowercase, like it has to be in uppercase because that's how the entity is styled. Mother Running, I'm specifically talking about a probation contract, so maybe I can talk to you some. Yeah, you can DM me. I can help you on a one-on-one basis. When you're dealing with probation, I highly suggest at that point you are 95% done, depending on if it's years and years left of probation. But if you're at the very end of the contract, the bonds have almost completely matured on the private side of that court case when it was expressed, the bid bond, the performance bond, and the payment bond. And once you get to the probation period, it's almost over. And in order, you would have to get like the mayor or the president or somebody to try to come in and try to exonerate or get that off. Nod. Did you hear about the court case started about fluoride? No, I did not. I kind of want to look into that. That sounds interesting. Sarah, yes, Charles' website. Yep. Thank you for posting my website, Veronica. Remy Khan. But property is as in the physical asset or interest in the security created. So the property typically doesn't matter when you're dealing in the commercial world. It's more about who controls title to it, Remy. And whoever creates controls, as long as the property is unencumbered. Basically, I'm unencumbered, me the human, but I am considered property. Like I'm a bag of dirt and flesh and water, and or like a car. If you hold the MSO, then you can not a copy of an MSO. People out there teaching you to get a copy. Once the asset is registered to the state, is controlled by them, and it becomes a collateral back to the bankrupt USA. It becomes on their books as collateral. You can't take it out of that. What do you MSN 1/10 of your? You got 10. I got playlist Blueberry. Check it out. You only get 10 Social Security cards, and on the back there's a bond number. Dustlicker, can it be created through the declaration you were talking about earlier, national ID? No, but that can help. They can work together. You can do the status declaration, and then you can create your own national ID to try to basically help prove who you are should you want to start traveling or walking around and not using the state's property, which is a license which is issued to an enemy to do business. So if you want to create your own ID, you can do that. I have all that information on my website. You go in there under ID, under commerce, you can see some of that stuff. So what do you use the UCC1 for? A UCC1 is only the public notice of a security interest in some type of collateral or property, and you can put it out there. And I typically suggest to do a non-UCC. So it's called a UCC1, but you check the box called non-UCC. Thanks for the follow, Charles. I'm getting ready to wrap up, guys. I got to go pick up my car. I thought it for the strong man. I'm confused. Yeah, don't do the you're trying to do the secured party creditor. It's just a garbage process. So how can you discharge debt? You can do it publicly and privately. Quad Jalen. Dustlicker, could you tell me a little bit about 1099As? Yes, if you do a 1099A without an agreement between all parties on that contract, you're committing fraud, and you must get an agreement between the opposing party or their books will not be balanced, the IRS will not be reported to properly, and an investigation will be started on you. But guess what? It does work. You can do the 1099A 10 days a week, and it will work every single time. But if you don't have an agreement between all the parties on that, you're committing fraud. Yeah, and same, anybody teaches you to do a 1099C. Yeah, it'll work. Every day, all day, it works. You can cancel the debt, but 1099A is the acquisition of property and or claiming something abandoned, and that's what it's for. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap up. I love you, appreciate it. I hope y'all enjoy your weekend, and yeah, it's work. Look at my video called "Setting Off," I think, or "Accepted for Value." So it's one of those. That's I'll give you an example. All right, guys, love you, appreciate it. Thanks for everything y'all have done.